Now, just a little side note, because we do take the square root of standard deviation, the units for standard deviation are just the regular units. So if we had feet, it's going to stay in feet. However, the variance does get squared, is the squared version of the standard deviation, so its units will be squared. So if, let's say, the units for the standard deviation were feet, then the variance would be the same units but squared, would be feet squared. That's just to give you an example. Next, let's take a look on how to use our TI-83, TI-84 calculator. So if you actually want to find standard deviation, or actually quite a few things in your calculator, what you're going to first do is, if you have a list of data, you're going to hit the stat key. The stat key, which we have here in the middle, is right next to your arrow buttons. Then what'll happen is a menu will come up on your calculator and you're going to select edit. You already should be on edit, and your number 1 should also be on the edit, and you'll press enter. So you select edit, and what will happen is you'll come up with a screen that looks like the following, where you have a bunch of lists. We're automatically always going to put our data here in list 1, because your calculator always thinks that your data is in list 1 as a default. So we're always going to put our data in this L1, which stands for list 1. So you'll type in all your data, type in whatever numbers you have. So you'll type in, let's say, 71 if that was your first number, and then press enter and type in if your next number was 82, and so on and so forth. Then you're going to press the stat key again, same stat key from the previous page, but this time you're going to go to the right one. You're not going to stay at edit. You're going to go to the right one and go to calculate. And then we're going to choose the first option that you're already on, which is called one variable stats. And what that means is we're going to go ahead and press enter, and it will do a bunch of statistics on our one list of data. That's why it's called one variable stats. So we'll go down and let's see what they give us. They give us a lot of information, most of which is not meaningful for us yet, but about half of it is. The first thing that you should see is an X with a little bar on it. Remember, X with a bar means that that is your mean, your average for your set of data. Then below they give you 2 other pieces of information. One of the first things that they give you is what's called an SX. Remember, S stands for sample standard deviation. S is for sample. Then right below it we have that sigma X, which is going to be your population standard deviation. So again, you have to read your problems carefully to know which one of these 2 numbers to actually use on your data set. Do you want to use the sample standard deviation or the population standard deviation? It will vary from problem to problem based on whether or not you are given a sample or a population in the actual problem. Notice that the calculator will only find the standard deviation for you. It will not actually find, so we found the standard deviation using the calculator, it will not find the variance. But remember, if you want the variance, take whichever is the appropriate standard deviation, whether it's sample or population, and square it. Remember, variance is just equal to whatever standard deviation you're supposed to use squared. So it's not that it's a complicated one. What I would do though is round out as far as you can, go at least 2 to 3 decimal places before you square it, just to avoid rounding errors. So let's take an example, and